I said
So
yum.
now, since we don't have to do ads, we can bring directly on our good friend Lindsay Jones. Some would say a Denver legend, Lindsay Jones.
That's me. I say it.
Yeah, see, Henry just said it. We got there we go.
See if I can get this.
Boom.
There we go.
Professional.
Denver
Sorry.
legend Lindsay Jones,
All
according
right.
to Henry.
What's going on, guys?
What's up?
How are
much.
ya?
Good. How are things?
Good. Apparently, the news is here. I don't know. We all missed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We all left.
We all left
We
before
left
the
Zach
excitement
behind.
in Denver.
And it ended up being a good decision for us because now there's a spot for you on the set.
Lovely. Well, thank you guys for having me. Sorry, I'm playing with my mic here.
Oh, no worries.
There we go.
We can start with an easy question. Is Sean Payton going to fix Russell Wilson?
I mean, I think of the people that were available and could potentially hire in the cycle, I think he was the one guy who was the best shot to do it.
Yep.
I really think the only person who's going to truly fix Russell Wilson is probably Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
And the thing that I'm intrigued about this partnership is that Sean Payton is the one guy that was out there and available. And honestly, I mean, there's probably a really short list of guys that maybe weren't available that you might have wanted to reach out to, who can have this authority to come in and tell Russ, this is how it's going to be. This is what we're going to do. This is what you need to do. And one of the things that I'm intrigued about this whole thing is that, I mean, how many times have we read or have we heard Russell over the last how many ever years say that he wants to play like Drew Brees?
Yeah.
And he doesn't. He's not Drew Brees. That's not what he does
Doesn't
best.
play like
That's
him
not
really
his
at all.
style. And Sean Payton can say, "Hey, man, you are not Drew Brees.
Doing it all
This is
wrong."
not." So let me coach you.
Mm-hmm.
Let's find what you do best. Let's accentuate the things that you can do well at your age now, and let's stop making you pretend to be somebody that you're not. So that's why I'm at least intrigued by it. Is
Yeah.
that he's going to come in with, he just. I was going to say he's the adult in the room. We probably throw that around too much. But he comes in with pedigree and a resume and stuff that was not here previously when Russell first showed up.
Zach just said that in kind of the split-off session after the press conference, Coach Payton was asked about Russ's personal quarterbacks coach and if he's still going to be around. And Sean Payton straight up just said, I didn't know about that, but no. The only people that are going to be in this building are people that, are on this staff.
I mean, and that's, that probably is going to be a good step, right? Is that once you're in the building, and that's not to say that Russell can't do what he wants to do all off season and have maybe on a Tuesday, an off day, if you want to go and do a throwing session or you want to go, but, and he can say this, look, he said, I coached a Hall of Famer. We won a Super Bowl together. I coached one of the most prolific offenses in the NFL in this version of the modern NFL. And Drew Brees, Hall of Fame quarterback, he didn't need all of this stuff.
Yep.
And he was in that elite stratosphere of celebrity quarterbacks. Not quite in the Russell Wilson.
He's in his own
category.
spot. Yeah.
I don't private security and stuff. I don't think Drew Brees necessarily had, but that's that's what he can do. He can come in and say, we're going to do this. And Russell Wilson, despite the contract, I don't really see where he would have a leg to put his foot down and say, no, I'm keeping it the way it was, because what did they do last year?
Yeah. Maybe I'm naive about it too, but the fact that Russ wanted Sean Payton makes me think that he's kind of embarrassed about what happened this year and is like, okay, anything's on the table for me, whatever gets me back to how I was.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's got to be there. I mean, there's no way that you could look at the resume from 2022 and really be proud of almost any of it, right? And say you could probably pick quarters here and there, drives here and there. It says, okay, well, this gives me hope that
it's possible.
This is what I could do, especially I guess the very end of the season, right? Although we should not get sucked into the Drew Lock of it all, of one great game at the end of the season and everything's going to be awesome.
False positive, as Vic Fangio would say.
Right. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure he looks back. I'm sure he's embarrassed. I know. I can't imagine that somebody has the competitive spirit and ego that he has, looks back and is happy with anything that they put on film last year.
Totally. And I mean, even worst case scenario, he just wants to play out the contract. He's happy. He just wants his money. You still cannot just be taking that beating from social media and from the fans and all that for 5 more years. Could you imagine going through that?
Yeah. And he's such an interesting character, right? Like, and we call him a character because, like, I don't know if any of us really know him.
Yeah.
You know, you get these little glimpses, and the first time I ever met him, the first time I interviewed him was in 2012, and he was probably 6 games into his rookie season, and he was very similar to the same guy now, just not the level of fame, right?
Yeah.
He wasn't married to Ciara.
Yep.
He had started 6 games or whatever, but he was very much that, like, I'm polished, I will not say anything off script. And so you'd have to get really hard to get just these little, like, authentic nuggets out of him.
So he knew about the NFL script all the way back then.
He did, right? So I'm just really curious to see kind of what this, like, iteration is, and to see kind of who the rest of Sean Payton's staff is going to be as he puts this all together, because I think Nathaniel Hackett had a lot of failings. One of the biggest issues he had was, outside of Ejiro Evero, basically, was the staff that he put together. He didn't have the experience and network available to kind of bring together the best of the best, where Sean Payton, in theory, should be able to do that. So I'm very curious. Offensive line, quarterbacks, wide receivers, just the whole group. Who's staying, who's going? Are they going to bring in some better teachers, better leaders than maybe the last staff had?
Are they going to play Quizlet?
I think he actually made it pretty clear today that they are not. like I think he almost specifically said, like, yeah, I know, like, the young guys, like, they coach or they teach a certain way. You know, I'm kind of old school in some ways. Like, he almost specifically said, we're done with that.
Yeah. Well, I did say one of my first things when Sean Payton, I texted, I said, so can we get our media room back? After Hackett turned the media room into a player's lounge.
Yes,
and
game room.
I don't think any players ever went
Pop a
into
shot.
it.
That was a little, I don't think it's coming back, though, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But I had to at least send the text and check out and see if that was possible.
As you've kind of moved into a more national role, I'm curious if you've gained a different perspective on the Broncos. Like, I always say, sometimes when you're on the beat and in the building, your view of things get a little bit skewed. How has your view of what's going on in Denver changed?
Yeah, I mean, so I still live in Denver, obviously. And yeah, it's kind of evolved because, like, when I worked at USA Today, I was a national writer, but that was like during the Payton.
Right.
Now there's too many Paytons. This is too new.
Oh,
the Payton Manning era. And so they were, I felt like I was kind of still on the Broncos beat just because they were the most relevant team in the AFC, and got to stay home and cover them a lot. And then, over the last couple of years, it's been this weird, like, slide to irrelevancy. And that's weird because the Broncos have never been in that position before. So, that was I think that was part of it. It kind of been hard to, I think maybe nationally, that's kind of how we look to the Broncos, where it's like, well, they're not really good, but they're not really bad. And then they're bordered on really bad for a little while. But, like, bad boring, bad boring is the worst kind from, like, a media perspective, where, if you can be, like, a complete dumpster fire, then at least it's interesting, right? And the Broncos kind of weren't in that realm either. So, I think it's been just kind of trying to focus in, like, what are the Broncos, where are they really? Like, reality check for where is this franchise? Because I think in the building, and I think even sometimes, like, in in Denver and metro area, there's still this idea of, like, the Broncos are not one of those teams. Like, they're not the Jets or not the Raiders or, some of these other teams that have been in the playoffs for a really long time, or, missteps all over but, like, the Broncos keep firing coaches. They keep running through quarterbacks. Like, functional model franchises don't do those sorts of things. So what we really need to see now is Sean Payton's stick, right? That we're not back here having a intro coach press conference again in, I mean, God forbid, 12 months, but let alone even, like, 24, 36 months. Like, there needs to be stability. There's now ownership stability. There now needs to be head coach and quarterback stability.
I was thinking, like, there's people out there that cover the Steelers, and they maybe have been covering them for, like, 50 years, and I've covered more introductory coach press conferences in the last 3 or 4 years.
It is ridiculous. Like, it is easy to think, like, oh, they're the Broncos, they're just fine, like, they're coach away, they're quarterback away. But you also look, and they're playing, the Chiefs and the 49ers play this week. How many 49ers would be the Broncos' best player? Oh, sorry. The Eagles. How many players do they have that would be the Broncos' best player? Like, George Kittle, Patrick Mahomes. Like, the star power just isn't there for the Broncos right now. You have Pat Surtain. You just don't have the juice.
Yeah, and that's really going to be George Payton's challenge now, is to get the roster to a point where you can compete with those best teams. And I think going into last season, the thing that always kind of gave me pause was right after the Russell Wilson trade and those months going in. Like, I remember I went out to training camp a few days and like, it was exciting. Like, you know, it looked like a competent offense and red zone drills and stuff. But there was all this talk about like Super Bowls, and it was like, can this team compete in the AFC West first? Like that is literally like what they need to focus on. And
which wasn't even as hard as we thought it was going to be, and they still couldn't do it.
Yeah, and so, you know, I think those steps are still what needs to happen now. And it's, you know, look, I know there's a lot of people in Denver who won't be super happy watching the Super Bowl this weekend and, you know, having to see the Chiefs on this stage again. You know, the Chargers obviously made the playoffs this year, and it's a long climb still. I mean, the roster needs a lot of work. Coaching staff needs a lot of work. Image-wise, I think they need a lot of repairing to be done, credibility within the community, those sorts of things. So, yeah, it's going to be a long climb, but I think of all of the options, this is probably the best place to start. I mean, could you imagine if all of a sudden it was like, we got to sell, and like Jonathan Gannon might coach his butt off on Sunday, right? I mean, he might, but like trying to sell that is like, here you go.
Yeah.
No.
Sean Payton's a little bit easier sell.
Last thing, what are you working on this week that you're excited about, and where can everyone find it?
Yeah, well, so my new job at The Ringer, I don't really write anymore, which is very different. So this Super Bowl experience is very different for me. So I'm here editing all of our copy. All of our reporters are here. I'm going to be doing Slow News Day with Kevin Clark a couple times this week. I think we're going to record tomorrow morning, or actually late tonight, tomorrow morning after Media Day. And then we're going to record after the game. So I'll be podcasting, and then we got a lot of awesome content. Go to theringer.com, check out all the content. I'm going to be selling Girl Scout cookies on Radio Row. I mean, I'm here just hustling, mom life.
Let's go.
Yeah,
you're
ready.
Wow.
So.
Okay, and then we'll let you go on this one.
Yeah, I was going to ask. You have to say that. You have to ask both questions.
What's the best body of water? Rivers, lakes, or oceans?
Oceans.
Oh.
Wow. Okay.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
Why?
I don't. They're beautiful and have sustaining life, and dolphins and whales and I don't. Yeah,
They do have like all the big.
Yeah.
What do you even call it? They're not fish.
Creatures.
I mean, it's hard. Like, I mean,
water creatures.
I'm a native Coloradan. We don't have oceans, but so there's some allure of like going somewhere where you can be out on the ocean and in the beach.
All right.
Fair
enough.
So.
Should we be asking people who's going to win the Super Bowl?
That would be a good question.
I feel like that should be kind of like.
I haven't decided yet.
No, you haven't? Okay.
No, I haven't. Although I think, you know, for the Ringer socials tonight, I think I'm going to probably have to make a pick.
Oh, okay.
It's tough. I think the Eagles have a better roster, 1 through 53.
Yep.
I think the Eagles have probably a better game day coach, like for those 3 hours. My colleague Sheil Kapadia made this point really.
I like this.
Wow.
But the Chiefs have the better quarterback.
Yep.
By
a lot.
Fairly substantial margin. They have Travis Kelce is kind of like the ultimate X factor, right?
Yep.
And then you have the better game planning coach in Andy Reid.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really.
It is tough. I'll just tell you this: Henry kind of got
Allie's
canceled
looking
for
at me
picking
waiting.
the Chiefs.
Yeah, I picked the Chiefs, and now I'm the bad guy.
He's the
like
everyone
Broncos
hates
fans,
him.
Broncos fans should know better than anybody.
No,
that the Chiefs
don't
are
do
really
this.
good.
Don't do
They've
this.
won 15 in a
Here
row.
he goes
Like
again.
It's gonna
I'm
be
supposed to
really
say that team's
interesting
going to lose.
to
Yes.
see Andy Reid against the Eagles.
Oh,
and
I
see
mean,
what
there's
happens.
like
the
in terms of
storyline is awesome.
the storylines, and these are the right two teams that are here.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I think there were times during the year where like you could have made a really strong case that the Niners deserve to be here, that they should, you know, or the Bills or the Bengals. And I think if the Bengals would have won that game, that would have been fine. It would have been like a good outcome. But I think ultimately these are the teams that were the best in the AFC, the best in the NFC all year long. And I'm kind of with you. Like I made that mistake for a long time of like, oh, Tom Brady, I'm going to bet against Tom. I'm going to pick against Tom Brady. Like I don't know if I like have it in me to pick against pick against that guy.
Yeah.
But the Eagles are the better roster, top to bottom. So
Easily.
Do you think it'll be high scoring? Would you take the over?
what is the total,
I don't
or
know
what is
what
it
the
right
over
now?
is right
I think it's at 50.
Yeah, right around
50 and a
that.
half, maybe.
Ooh,
I don't know. 27, 23's under, I think.
I guess I would probably take the under just by a little bit.
I feel like
Okay.
they always start slow in Super Bowls. Like everyone's a little bit
That's
afraid
really
to
true.
force the issue.
These are two pretty good defenses.
For sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think we could see some turnovers in this game. I think we could see some like awesome interior defensive line play.
Which,
It'll be fun.
50.5.
what a game for it, too. Like, when the edges
Yeah.
are just containing the quarterback anyway, this is the game where
Yeah.
you need those guys.
Yeah, give me some Chris Jones. Like
Yes.
that'll be fun.
All right.
So I guess I'll probably change my mind like 16 times before Friday. I just cannot pick against Mahomes yet.
Yeah.
I
right there
I
with
can't
you.
quite get myself there, but we'll see over the next
All right.
the next few days how everybody's looking. I also want to see how healthy the rest of the Chiefs are. I want to see how his ankle is. I want to see if Juju's going to play. We know Mecole Hardman's not going to play, but he needs some more help.
All right. Well, Lindsay, thank you so much
Yes.
for joining
You're
us. For the
welcome.
great
Thanks for
insights.
having me.
We'll be looking out for you on Slow News Day, and we'll check out the ringer.
Sounds good. Thanks,
All
guys.
right. See you, Lindsay.